Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Good morning. Yes, good morning. This is Spirit Training. Today is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday, June 10 already, 2025. And the time right now is 4:14 a.m. How are you doing? Yes, I am doing well. And my little boy, Labby, he is doing well. He was sleeping out in the living room. When I woke up, he wasn't in the room. And yes, I found him in the living room. But I brought him back, and now he's on the bed with me. He's relaxing. Yes, today's title for this live stream is, yes, hello, viewer, is there a connection? And then I elaborate in the description. And I hope I get this video right because I have a lot of ideas in my head. And with me, sometimes I try to formulate things, and sometimes it kind of takes me a while for the concepts to come together to try to connect the dots if there are dots to be connected. The music industry and religion, you know. Is there a connection between the two? Hey, Tammy, good to see you. Yes, hello, hello, hello. Yes, see your name down below. Yes, it's good to see you. Very good to see you. And Lavi, yeah, Lavi is his eyes are clearing up. He's getting a little better, but he's still very weak. Yeah, he's still weak if he overexerts himself. If I go out on a walk with him, if it starts to get a little bit too warm, yeah, he could collapse. Yeah. So, but thank you so much for all your prayers for little Lavi. Yeah, we appreciate you. Okay. So, let me begin with my story now. Yeah, well, many of you know I like to sleep with my device on, and I play videos in the background while I sleep. It's a bad habit, and I gotta break it. And but I was listening to a program. This individual who was discussing about the Diddy trial and his perspective. Like again, um, I am no way a fan of Diddy. Never was a fan of his. I do not listen to his music. I do not listen to rap music because how it makes me feel. And I feel personally that it's a low energy music. At least it developed severely into low energy that is destructive in nature. That's just my personal opinion. But either way, what music you want to listen to is your business. It's for your enjoyment. Enjoyment. What you do in the privacy of your home, what you listen to, is your business. And also with somebody's faith-based beliefs, is your business. But here, I'm just trying to connect dots here. And this individual that I was listening to was talking about, the trial, the Diddy trial, or he's also known as Sean Combs or Sean Puffy Combs, Diddy, Brother Love now, okay. All those different genres, different, what do you call it? Not genres, but uh, names that he's known by. So, about the connection. Now, I kind of heard about this argument um, that in sometime in 2023, there was a lawsuit with Puffy. That's what I know him as Puffy. With Puffy, that Puffy had done a collaboration with a company, and um, Puffy had invested, according to this YouTuber who's giving this information. Oops, sorry, my screen went dark again on me. I have to remember to keep on touching the screen before it gets dark. But either way, Puffy put in $1,000 of his own money, and the collaborators put in 100 million. But the beef that Puffy has with this arrangement was that his the alcohol that they were collaborating with, what was that, 60 million of this 100 million was used to market, it was being marketed as an urban product, something urban. And many of us know in the Black community, when something says, oh, we're marketing to the urban market, that's a euphemism for Black market, primarily Black. And he, according to Diddy, that his portfolio that he has, um, you know, things are pretty much marketed as, general population. And he's upset that his product or his collaboration with this company is being marketed as an urban slash Black rather than a product that you can sell to the general population. And uh, this lawsuit was settled out of court um, 2 months after Cassie placed her lawsuit against Diddy. So I guess the proximity of the Puffy's initial lawsuit, and then Cassie, one of his victims, um, places a lawsuit towards the end of that year in 2023. And then 2 months after that lawsuit was resolved with Cassie, did Puffy's deal with this company was resolved. And then I think a month after Puffy and his collaboration settled, the company about a month later issued a statement that was very, what it was, like the sour grape type of thing, in my opinion. Um, so why was that? And okay, people do collaborations, makes deals, and things like that. And if the deal is made up front, where does discrimination come in? Because that's what the issue is. Are you marketing my product or collaboration fairly or equally? Um, Now, I don't drink alcohol. I no longer drink alcohol. I've never been a connoisseur of alcohol, a big part of my life. And the reason for that, I saw growing up, as a little child, how it affects people. And it's very frightening to be around people as a child or at any age when someone is under the influence of something. So, a big portion of my life, my adult life, um, I did not partake in it. Um, but I guess, let's see. Well, when I went into the military, yes, I did try alcohol, and I saw firsthand what alcohol does to people. And I said, "Boy, I got to get. I won't do this. I won't um, drink alcohol." So I didn't drink alcohol for many, many years. And then um, I went to a party. Was that 20, not a party, a wedding, 2018. It might have been maybe, let's see, 20 years later, something in between. Let's see, as I got out of the military, let's see, in 98. But let's see, yeah, let's just say the early 98. um, I didn't, let's see. or even 97. I mean, not 97. I meant to say 87. 80, 80s, let's see, 88. Okay. Oops. Let's say 1988. Sorry, by the time I get the numbers confused. 1988, I didn't drink alcohol. Um, and then, let's see, in 2000, oh God, let's see. The wedding was in 2018. Okay, so in 2018, okay, so you do the math from 1988 to 2018. I was invited to a wedding and I had alcohol. I didn't get drunk or anything like that. I ate, I danced, and all that. But it was an unusually hot day, and everything seemed fine. I get home, everything's fine. It was an early wedding, and so I got home by 6 p.m. that same day, 6 p.m. I stayed up all night. I had some tea, and I just couldn't go to sleep until 5 o'clock the following morning, 5 a.m. the following morning. So it was way over 12 hours later. Do I finally fall asleep? And I woke up 2 hours later, and something in my I something with my inner ear. Um, I get this like if I sleep on one side too long, and if I'm dehydrated, you have these crystals in your inner ear, the cochlear of your ear, and if they get dislodged or shift, and what could affect it, I found out, is alcohol. It could disrupt it, and so you're dizzy. But so when I woke up 2 hours later, I I didn't feel right, and then not only was I dizzy, but my whole body felt extremely odd. Yep, and the condition, I had to go to the ER. I thought I was having a stroke, to be honest. I didn't know what was going on. Um, they gave me two IVs and they sent me home. And I was like, hey, why you send me home? I still feel the same. Yeah, whatever would happen. It took many months uh, to clear up. It was difficult to stand. It was really spooky. Yeah, I was, you know. So even in that, um, I always get copy. Wait, people, when you go to the doctors, always get a copy of your stay in the hospital, whether it's just a regular checkup or you go to ER, get a copy. And when I got a copy of my records from that ER experience, it explains a lot what happened, why I was released from the hospital. What I thought was a medical emergency. They said the doctor wrote in her notes. Um, oh, we see that she was playing with her phone, and that they gave the IV, and it sent me home. Now what I was doing on my phone was calling family. I was calling family members because because just the day before was the wedding, and I'm letting family people know, hey, I'm in the hospital. Something happened, because everything the day before was fine. Was fine even the next day at 5 o'clock in the morning. Everything was cool. I was watching videos. Yeah, I was watching all videos all that night. I just couldn't fall asleep, you know. Um, Everything was fine. I was in a good mood, happy, and then just had a 2 hour sleep, and I knew something was wrong on my body. So that's what happened. And so doctors, and again, I'm a veteran, and I'm a woman of color, as you see, that's my face. And so she thinks I'm driving around. I was texting family like I had to stay still. I was on my back, and I was typing a text to my family. I have all this family now that's in town because of the wedding. It was a family wedding. So, hey, letting people know where I am. And so, what doctors could think, and especially when certain doctors belong to certain groups, and it just seems coincidentally that this alleged group seems to project. Oops, sorry, my screen went black again. You have to keep remembering to pressing it. My apology. They seem to forget. They seem to project. I meant to say project against you and make you look like a criminal. That you drive around, and someone to even said there's a medical emergency. And I said, why are you releasing me from the hospital? I said, the problem still exists. I can't hardly walk. Well, you in the VA hospital, and if you're a black person, now they checked my system. There was no alcohol in my system. Repeat, there was no alcohol. Yeah, they checked. They checked. Yeah, because you get the copy of what they did. And they checked for alcohol. I'm a friend. I went to a party. I did have some alcohol. I ate, I danced, I had tea, right? Nothing in me. But see, they always want to make you look like you're something that you're not. Okay. Yeah, that just popped up my head. That connecting the dots because who the doctor was, and how they treat you in New York. Okay. Okay. So getting back with Diddy again. I'm not a fan of Diddy at all, but I'm just trying to see if are they dots to be connected? Okay. So uh, he did this collaboration, Diddy, and all of a sudden um, he um, this file is done on Diddy, you know, and it sticks, so it wasn't enough that he settled out of court with Cassie, and then he settled out of court with this business collaboration. And then a month after the settlement with the collaboration, the company writes something very disparaging about Diddy. So it's like letting him know that you didn't win the war. Okay. Um, and then I'm reminded, like, yeah, oh, the program that I was listening to that was sharing this information about uh, Diddy's lawsuit with this alcohol collaboration. Um, he made mention that, okay, that this other celebrity um, in the same music genre, um, he shared his experience doing collaborations. And he saw that he realized that when you, um, if you say anything against the company, that see they don't mind doing collaborations and they would do what they're going to do, but if you say anything that offends them, if you become too independent, if you become too independent from them, that's the key word. If you come across too independent and that you don't need the company, uh, their attitude towards you changes. So um, so he saw that even when he was in the business. It seems like a lot of people in um, the hip hop industry, that genre, that they seem to market, as they call it, and the urban market. And urban market is just another euphemism saying black market, black people's market. And it's not handled the same way as the general population as a whole. If it's no label put on it, just an American market, um, it's not much. But interesting that 60% of the money that the company invested in with Diddy for this alcohol collab was 60% of 100 million. So that's $60 million, but it was being pulled for the urban slash black market, and he didn't like that, and he felt he was losing money through that practice. Um, so it seems like a lot of blacks like to do these collaborations with other people. And on the surface, they might seem like your friend because, hey, you both going to make money. But how are some companies, I didn't say all companies, but how are some companies, how do they really feel about you? And how are they going to market you? Yeah, and I remember at some time, I remember watching a commercial. It was um, a fried chicken commercial. And they had this famous black hip hop lady. And I looked at this, I said, boy, this looks really racist. Now, there's nothing wrong of enjoying chicken or fried chicken. I actually like fried chicken. If cooked properly, it tastes very good. So, but you can see things in the market, and sometimes these markets buffoon you. And yes, this hip hopper might have made a lot of money in it, but is when they do these collaborations, is it for your community's edification or continue buffoon buffoonery and um, enslavement? Okay. And then when you start to wise up, and you point them out, you say, hey, I thought we were going to do this, but, I look at the final product and, hey, I didn't know that you're going to make me look like this. Hey, this is conveying something separate than what I thought your creative department was going to produce for me. But this looks like buffoonery. Or, hey, I thought you're going to market my face or my name or whatever to the general population and not focusing me, the black person. Um, so it could be, so I guess, you never really um, are free. You're never going to be considered an equal. You're going to start seeing that when you start to speak out, when you feel like that they're equal. Excuse me, let me get some water right next to me. Sorry. Boy, I get me a little frog in my throat. Wait a minute. Yes, excuse me. So yeah, so things start to change. The attitude starts to change. You know. Um, Boy, I just remember all these different things. So the key thing here in this talk is that the assumption. Now, again, I'm not trying to protect any criminal uh, who allegedly does things against women and things like that, or who are doing collabs when it's benefiting them, uh, and it's disparity against Black people. So it seems like at times. Some Black performers do these collabs because it's money involved, and you know we in the Black community need help in the sense that, hey, we need people to stop um, promoting alcohol in our community. I mean, I was raised in Hollis, Queens, and Hollis, Queens is a black area. And when you're entering into Hollis, you're going on into Trestle, you see a big advertisement for booze slash alcohol, and it always seems the case. Booze and cigarettes. And so uh, Diddy knows this. Diddy is from New York. They all know. They all know. They think because they could afford maybe a nice suit and tie and fancy shoes and designer bags or accessories, that it doesn't stick onto them this stereotype and dehumanizing attitude towards the black community. They openly do these collaborations and they think, oh, it doesn't apply to me because I'm a millionaire or a billionaire, whatever, how they want to label themselves. But it does include them. The slave could have money. Some slaves, even back in the day, had money and had businesses on the side. Yes, they did. Yes, it did. And that was so surprising about that. But yes, during slavery, a slave after working hours could, have a little business on the side to try to, raise money for more food, whatever. But yeah, so just as long you don't interfere with master's time and making money for him. And if you speak out, then there's a problem. And but you just look at who's behind all these, who potentially is behind all these things. Like when I was in I'm a veteran, and what happened when I was in the, utilizing the facilities there, things that would happen, and the type of doctor that said something I thought was just, you know, not nice regarding me. It was so inaccurate, and they leave it in your records. So what is that creating? When you read these things in your records, hey, that wasn't what happened. Hey, I'm not playing on my phone. I'm calling my relatives, let them know I'm in the hospital, and I had a lot of relatives, so I was texting everybody, hey, hey, I'm in the hospital. Hey, this happened. But she wants to see it as something else. Okay. So little things like that. And again, New York has that flavor regarding Black people. It's like an undercurrent of things that happen to Blacks. And it's always seems like the same undercurrent when you look on these people who attach themselves to you. And it just seems like similar type of people. Sorry. Similar type of people that attach themselves to you, that control you when you speak out. Um, so Diddy is now in a big jam, and so it doesn't matter whether the allegations are true or false against a person who speaks out and thinks that they're an equal or business equal because they have done what they're doing for longer and they have more connections. Even though Diddy may have a lot of connections, but he's still who he is, a Black man. And if any of the allegations against him is true, he deserves whatever he gets. Personally, I never cared for him, Diddy. But again, trying to connect the dots. So Diddy speaking out, and then someone else coincidentally all this happens, and you wonder, well, who had the tape for this time? So he thinks he's paying off somebody to withhold the tape of him beating up his former girlfriend. But who is in control? There's always another copy And who had that copy? So why was it blocked for all this time? I'm questioning if many companies these days, they look on your social profile to see what type of person you are before they do any business with you. Before they even employ you. Yeah. So if you have young kids in college and they want to look for a good paying job, fancy job. Well, these companies these days, these future employers, they look onto your social media and they want to see what type of person you are. So if some company, and whether it be an alcohol company, they want to know who they're going to bring on board because they don't want their brand to be violated by someone's bad reputation. They don't want anything that could tarnish what they call their image or there's another name that they use. It'll come to me. But either way, they don't want anything that could hurt their product image. That's what product image. Okay, so so I find it just very interesting because Diddy allegedly done many things throughout his history. And so why would a company that's going to pair with him want to take the risk? Because though, if you have if you have enough sense to try to cover up your sins, whatever, I guess anybody would be willing to invest in you, just so long you keep your dirt under the rock. Okay, and when that dirt starts to come out, and if you say anything, somehow they seem to have. I mean, sometimes when you win, you lose. So Diddy might have won the lawsuit against his partners, his deal, his collaboration, but then he loses too because now it seems like what was protecting Diddy is now released. And so he's fair game for attack. So to move on now, I'm reminded about this famous Islamic uh, preacher who's in the Black community for many, many years. I think maybe 50 years or something like that, close to 50 years, 45, 50 years. And he's still in power. And he shared information, this man, this religious man who's in Islam. And he wrote a book, or his researchers in his organization wrote a book exposing the history about, during slavery, if this particular faith based group had any ties with the enslavement of Black people. So his research team compiled a book. And this particular faith based system found out about it and they threatened him. What was the threat? Okay, they said, well, we know. Okay, this leader's in New York. And New York is a very infamous city that has a lot of influence by these people that he's offending. And this other faith groups said, we have control over history here. And history, we control the books, what you learn in school. We could make it that in the history books, we'll put you, we'll say that we'll say things very favorable about you in the history books. But if you do not withdraw what you've written about us, We will make it so that your name is not in history, and what is in the books will be bad. In essence, that's what they're saying. But this famous religious man in the black community said, well, all our books, all the everything written in our books, it's written by members from your organization. So how could you call what we say being bigoted against you when your own group is the ones who wrote this information, not me? We're only and we're only citing what your group says. But the interesting thing is, oops, sorry. But the interesting thing is in all this is that the threat was we could remove you from the history books, or we can say bad things about you. That is a big claim. And so connecting the dots, if you do not when you start to stand your ground, and if you expose certain individuals about their behavior, especially as it pertains against Black people, see, they'll collaborate with Black people in projects, different projects. They'll do a collab, but you don't control the product. And the mistake many of us make when we do collaborations is that you think you're an equal to them. And I'm saying, no, you're not an equal to them. You are their puppet. They're not going to do anything that's going to disrupt their boat, but they're going to do things that will eventually uh, get you lynched. Yeah. And they'll have it set up that way because they know that you might wake up to what they're doing. And then when you finally do wake up and realize you're being played, they already have the infrastructure put in there. They may place individuals in your path that are designed to harm you. They will have what they call a handler. You will be assigned a handler when you think you're moving up the ladder on your own. They will appear. People will appear all of a sudden around you, and you think in the back of your head, "Hey, I know, I'm not part of their group, but why are they around me? Hey, have I made it big? Am I really equal? And there's no uh, no glass ceiling, am I really free? That's what we start to ask ourselves. And I'm saying, no, you're not free. They might make you think that you're free, but they're always going to be the puppeteer behind you, it seems like. So, this religious leader, I am surprised this religious leader in the Black community is still alive. Yep. And you start to wonder, well, why didn't they pop him off? Not to wish harm on him. I do not wish harm on him. But I'm curious because he didn't pull the book. I guess maybe in a court of law, if you're citing from sources and they're a member of some other group's organization, then how are you going to prove in a court of law if there's a bigotry involved? So you can't say that when your own writes about you, writes about their own organization, it's not being bigoted. But if someone cites from your organization, then you bet. So, I maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Yeah, so it's really weird. These controls, and again, when you start to speak your ground, they're going to have different controls. And so maybe, these surveillance societies, who puts these cameras up? Who are putting these cameras all over? New York City, you got cameras all over the place, but somehow they're not able to capture the criminals. So many cameras everywhere. And then when someone's getting assaulted, why aren't they dispatching um, the police to protect that person? I can't figure out. So it might be a bigger infrastructure involved, and maybe some of these crimes that happen in these big urban slash black cities is really designed to always keep you on edge. That's also reminding me about something else and trying to connect the dots and all this. Remember a couple of years back, it could have been it could have been about 11 years ago, actually. I think 2014. Yeah, 2014. Remember this lady who went by the name V. Stiviano? She's a biracial lady, a Mexican mother and a Black American father, and she was dating or working. The relationship was very fluid. Okay, let me put it that way. It's very fluid, their relationship. But do you remember her? And in this fluid relationship, she allegedly um, had audio taped this man. Um, he was the owner of a basketball team. I forget the name of the basketball team, but it's located, I think, on the West Coast. I'm not into basketball and all that stuff, but they're out there on the West. And this audio tape, she then hands over to someone she knows, and that person allegedly went to TMZ, and basically they outed him for being saying bigoted statements against black people. And what was the conclusion in this matter involving this basketball team owner who's a billionaire and this female? Um, was that he got his team taken from him. But interesting though, see, uh, this basketball team is owned by a particular um, ethnic group, and that it was mentioned that how did it go? How did it go now? Or people like him. But either way, what was discussed about certain owners of basketball teams that they recruit people on their basketball teams. They go into poor black neighborhoods, and that they stress that they find that the more oppressed the neighborhood, that the better candidates are extracted from them to become uh, basketball stars. So they rely on the harm done upon the black community because it makes them more have an edge to them, which would be beneficial to have this edge when you are playing games, sports. So you have someone in these, the urban centers seem to be controlled and monitored, and places like New York City that has an edge, all these cameras, and if they know that crime is being done, but yet crime isn't being stopped. So why do you have these surveillance? Maybe it's designed and to observe where they can go. I mean, I'm just speculating here, where they can go and collect people for their harvest teams, like basketball teams, maybe even football teams. You know, you need people with an edge. They discovered the more impoverished and the edge, they rely on that. They rely, and they're not trying to help you get out of, to make your neighborhood safe. They don't want your neighborhood safe. They want to keep the edge and the fire under your feet. And when my hearing this, this conveyed message, and that they actually go into these poor neighborhoods. Just like, well, let me stop. Yeah, oh, okay. They also put in more um, recruiting station for the military in these edge-based cities. They don't have these recruiting centers in Bel Air. No, they do not. They don't have it in these fancy areas. They have it in your area. So they rely on the edge. They're creating a social system that puts stress on you, and your senses are heightened. It's almost like an MK Ultra. MK Ultra. They rely on this. They understand the human mind, that when it's stressed to the limit through trauma and crime, it heightens your senses, and it actually could create in that person uh, extraordinary abilities that could be harnessed by the abuser and used for their benefit and not the victim. Okay, yeah, these are victims who are going through this MK stuff. It's evil. And to rely on that to recruit people to become basketball players and who knows what other player. It's in my opinion evil. But the industry, the basketball industry, the teams are not owned by Black people. You think after all these years of this, blacks being in the business of basketball, being a basketball player, they move up the ladder, they become managers, and they eventually be owners because they're making a lot of money. Wouldn't it make sense, people, to own what you dominate, to own it, to control it? But in that V. Stiviano situation, and with that owner from that basketball team that's over $1 billion, he was a billionaire. Um, what you if he's making money, why aren't you making money? Why aren't you? Why aren't you? And it seems to be a common theme. And you look at who is behind them, these victims, who's controlling behind the scenes. Um, you also learn with the V. Stiviana and the basketball, the black basketball players, that um, he didn't want that individual to go to look at look at any of his games. He was banned, and this was done behind his back. So that things, if you ruffle their feathers, if they get offended so easily. If you embarrass them, even behind the scenes, and the person who's, this person that he was angry at, this basketball team owner, was angry at this retired basketball player who minds his own business, and said he's not allowed to watch any of my games. Oh my God. See that? So there are deals that happen behind the scenes, and you're wondering why people are treating you a certain way. And I'm reminded things that happened to me in New York. Okay, in New York, they have a big control, this particular demographic. And there was an incident that happened to me. And I had warned my manager. I said, Manager, I took to my two managers, a supervisor, and that this person was going to do something against me. I was in retail back then. And I pleaded with them for help, and they did nothing. So they just said, look, if this person says no, the person didn't want to sign for their checks. I was responsible for handing out the payroll checks, and she didn't want to sign that she received it. And so if they don't sign for it, they could say, hey, I didn't get my check. And they could try to steal and get a second check. You know what I mean? That could someone could think they can do something like that, you know. So that day came, and the person refused, and so I didn't hand them the check. And that manager is standing right there. The manager let that person attack me, and the manager ordered me to release the check to her and let her take it. I went to file a complaint. I actually wanted the lady arrested. Yeah, you get attacked. So they covered, and the person charged in human resources is a member of that organization, that same group. And what they did, they pretended that, oh, they're busy, whatever, and they didn't want her arrested. And a month passes, and then they want to fire me. So I remember being called into the human resource room. It was a lot of things that was going on. And I remember at one point, it's like a word of knowledge came to me. I said, you're only firing me not because I was sick a month ago, but because you were stalling and because I pushed the issue for the lady's arrest for that assaulted me. You are finding an excuse and you were hoping that it'll drop the case, but it didn't. And so now you make an excuse to fire me. And the witness that was there, this other lady from a different ethnic group, and she just kind of looks at me, her mouth drops open. Yeah, because I spoke the truth. See, you don't have to like the truth, and you don't have to like me, but the truth is that's what happened. Yeah. And so this member of this organization, they hire a lot of us, but it was like the wild, wild west with that retail company. They make money galore. And for whatever reason, when you're working under their administration, it's like chaos. And there were actual fist fights that was going on. And yes, they were bringing in illegals. This is 20 something years ago. They were bringing in illegals. They love to get, they always seem to use, well, who's involved, they use these white trucks, no label on the white trucks. And then they put in the workers, the illegals in these trucks, and they bring them in from New Jersey. And they bring them in and they drop them off in Lower Manhattan, and then they come and work at this retail store down there. Yes, and these illegals again, they have an edge. They're edgy people, and they fight each other. And these were women. These were, oops, sorry. These were women that were fighting, not guys, the women. And they bring them in because cheap labor, so they exploit cheap labor. And again, it's like it's just another form of slavery. You don't think that back in slavery days that people were fighting each other for a handful of gruel so they can feed their family, you know? And they're there and they exploit the social environment. They exploit what's happening in the social environment. They may not have initially started it, but they control it. And chaos erupts. And with that famous religious leader in America who wrote a book about this, the history of slavery, what relationship that the blacks that were enslaved and who was controlling the slave trade and all that, you know, um, they didn't want people to know about it. And yes, they control, many of them control, especially New York City. They control what goes in the history books. And they told that religious leader, black leader in America, that if he doesn't cool it, he is going to get bad press and that his name is going to be synonymous with evil. Isn't that what they're doing to him? You know? So, I'm seeing parallels. If you say anything, we're going to ruin your reputation. We may get another person, to entrap you. And usually with black men, they entrap you um, sexually. They get a person. You're dating somebody, and all of a sudden, this person that you're dating is going to accuse you of being you're abusing them and this and that. It's like a an instruction manual. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's true the allegations or false. That's not the point. The point is that they know about you or they create a scenario to heighten the likelihood that you're going to do something against that lady or that gentleman and enough to ruin your reputation for a lawsuit. Okay. Again, I'm not saying these things to protect anybody who might be doing things horrible against another human being. No, I am not trying to protect them. I'm just trying to say the games that are being played, and it's like a textbook of instructions what to do to destroy, um, especially what happens in the black community. You are being observed. You are being controlled. Drugs are put in our communities. Relationships or slash handlers are being put in your community to control you, to watch you. And when you get out of hand, and what's also was interesting in all this other hip hop performer who's been very verbal about what's happened to Diddy. Well, when that other hip hop performer, it's a male, when he started speaking out about Trump, um, he said something favorable about Trump. There are actually like two. There's two hip hop male performers, but I'm only really thinking about one of them. But actually, there was two, and both interesting. Both of them said something positive at that time about Trump, and actually, one of them really got screwed and being perceived as being a crazy man. And then the other one that I'm really thinking about is how he was uh, managed. Interesting how he was managed. Um, was that when he said pro, when he said pro Trump statements, this person from the same type of organization comes out of the woodworks. It was a female from this particular organization that just seems to always be around our business somehow, or our black businesses, our black communities. And she came out, and it came out that he um, had dated this lady, or so there's some type of connection between him and this lady. And the lady said publicly on camera, that's how I saw it, that she publicly on camera said, if you support that candidate, you are not a friend of the black community. Something to that effect. You're not a black person anymore, or you're not a member, or you're not a friend of the black community anymore. Something to that effect. Saying that he's not really a black man if he supports this particular candidate. And it seemed like that she had something over him, because how she said it, because he could have, this particular hip hopper is not shy with words. He's very verbal, you know, and so why didn't he just tell the lady to go screw herself? Okay. Well, um, you have handlers, and you start wondering why certain people are maybe having sexual relations, or intimacies with certain these hip hop guys, why somehow they're getting these ladies from this organization seem to somehow flock over to these bad boy type people. The image of the gangster rap type of person. It's just an image that's being marketed. But what does this lady from another race and a completely different demographics, what does she care about? Who is she to say that someone is black or not if you're not black? See, it's that control. And so I'm connecting the dots. I'm wondering, are these little dots, are they connectable? So you speak out, or you say something that, see, they want blacks in general, blacks in America, to think and vote a certain way. They want us to think and vote a certain way, and that's how they control us. Oh, I need some more water. All right. Let me get some water. Excuse me. Yeah, they want us to think and act a certain way. They want us to vote a certain way. You know, we don't go to their communities and tell them that they're not a particular way enough if they vote a certain way. We don't do that. We don't say anything about their community, how they should vote. They vote how they want to vote. Why is it that they seem to pop up and they enter into our business, and then telling us how we should vote, and try to publicly humiliate us, to embarrass us, because because they think, oh, we're going to be offended if someone says we're not black enough. They always said that. People always said that about me. I'm not black enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm myself. I am myself. And every individual on this planet has a right to be who they are, without the threat of someone trying to publicly embarrass them, and not making them seem macho enough, or black enough, or this enough, or that enough. You know, people should really, it's none of your concern. Why are you making us your concern? Because maybe, oops, sorry again. Sorry again, my phone just went, the screen went black again. Why they're so concerned about us. So it seems like to me with the dot connections, if there's a connection to be made, try to find the common denominator. You know, how you vote. They don't want you to vote a certain way. Um, you have organization. Remember BLM? Now I don't know the. I mean they showed the lady on. I think they showed the lady on camera. I forget now. But there's a lady that was in charge of BLM, a black lady, and on camera she was crying when she got outed about her using funds to build a house or to buy a house for, guess this, a woman is married to another woman. Again, it's your business who you want to marry. Okay, but this is supposed to be BLM, Black Lives Matter, but this Black Lives Matter head person, or one of the heads, is married to a white woman and splurging on this other woman rather than buying a house for a poor black person, a poor black man. She set up an organization or uh, acquired the control over the organization, BLM, because what sparked BLM allegedly was that Trayvon Martin, the a 17-year-old boy at the time in 2012, who got killed by George Zimmerman. And George Zimmerman got acquitted or got off. He didn't have to do prison time for that because the law in Florida where this killing took place was stand your ground rule. And they said that, well, he was just standing his ground. But that's not, in my opinion, what really happened. He'd called the police. He said this person looks suspicious. The boy was just on his way home and it was raining, so he wanted to hurry home. And he was almost at his house. He was staying with family, relatives. And he called the 911. And 911 said, do not leave your vehicle. Stay in your car and we'll investigate. Well, he doesn't. And George Zimmerman took a loaded weapon and later used that weapon and shot that boy dead. Yeah, that's what happened. And he got off. But what happened now? I forgot why I brought that. I forgot why I brought up that subject with Zimmerman. Oh God, what was I just saying? Where was I headed with that? Not connecting. Um, Yeah. I remember. Yeah, the organization BLM got started because Trayvon, the legacy of Trayvon Martin, who got killed by George Zimmerman, and so wasn't that to empower and people, white guild or whatever guild, people were sending money to the organization, right? But this organization, is compromised, it seems like, in my opinion, because who is she sleeping with? Again, you have the right to sleep with anybody you want to. That is your business. And you have a right to marry anybody that you want to. But do you think that the general black population would have contributed money if it wasn't the money going to black causes? And investigation showed that in many instances, the money went into the LGBTQ community that she is a member of. And not even the people, like even with George Floyd, he was living with people Did they send money to him to help pay their rent after Floyd got killed? His housemates, they couldn't pay the rent. Did they build a house or mansion for them? No, 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 no. And I'm wondering whether this organization, oops, sorry, that my screen went dark again. Well, so how is it that people, outsiders, are benefiting more than the people that it's being used for, and that what do you call it, handlers or people who somehow they're just there and benefiting? So you saw, I don't know the background. I think they showed her, but I'm wondering, is this also a member of this particular ethnicity? You know, that is manipulating this uh, person in charge of that organization, the BLM organization? Are they telling her what to do? Hello, people. And that rap artist, hip hop performer, um, is told, hey, you're not a member of the Black community. If you are a pro, this particular candidate. And she also looked like a member of this particular ethnic group. You know, why these people? See, they use women many times to infiltrate you men, and you think that you're Mr. Wonderful because this person from this demographics is in intimacies with you. Intimacies does not mean that they love you. Intimacies could mean that they are your handler and are spies against you and the rest of the community. How do they get information? Well, they get handlers. Don't these other performers in the Black community, don't they have handlers too? And when you get out of line, somehow you become mental. I'm not going to mention names. You know who I'm talking about. Just look who's there who spoke out about a power, and then all of a sudden you're viewed as crazy, things like that. You know, are there dots to be connected? I'm thinking yes. Common denominator. Your neighborhood is being infiltrated. Your neighborhoods, and but no one is controlling theirs. Uh, some individuals, they mind their own business basically, but you're not really free. And did slavery really end? It just changed, like energy, like who made the law of energy? You know, energy is never, it's not created or destroyed. It can't be created or destroyed. It just is. It's just always in existence. You can modify energy, but you cannot destroy it. You just change the shape of that energy. The same with what's going on. You can try to disguise it, but they're there and they control you. So don't think, you got to wake up, people. Be careful. I mean, I've talked about things similar to this, but you guys, you got to wake up. Not someone doesn't just, you think someone digs you because they have intimacies with you. Be careful of any woman who wants to share these intimacies with you so soon, because they can be your handler. And there's a thing called sex magic out there. I know this sounds horrible, but I'm speaking the truth. There's a thing called sex magic. And the in the intelligence gathering I heard about over social media, that This is one lady. She was what they call a president. I think they call them presidential wives or something. It seems to mean that with people of that caliber, presidents, things like that, they have these women on the side, allegedly, and these women are NK'd, you know, they're NK'd, and then I'm sorry, my phone went dark again. They're NK'd, and they are instructed and taught in the arts of intimacies, if I can say it nicely, and that they extract. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm not sure whether they're referring to pillow talk. Okay, pillow talk is, in an intimate moment with a partner, and you say things. So I don't know whether it's through pillow talk or that they're taught to extract energetically secrets from that person's body, um, by energy, through sexual intimacies. And then the lady or the partner, goes to another location, and somehow the information is downloaded, and they get that. Yeah, there's a movie. I think it's called the Red Sparrow. The Red Sparrow. It kind of a little bit, I think, talks about that. You know, I mean, the lady was an NK'd, but she was deceived, and if she realized she was deceived, and you know, but she was still forced to do intimacies with people to get information, and to ultimately that other person be controlled politically, so yeah, so it seems like, the like religion is within the black community is infiltrated. um the music industry is seems to be infiltrated. The sports industry, as I explained, is infiltrated, and it just seems like and we'll call it Hollywood is infiltrated. Hollywood, you want to be an actor, actress, you're going to be, you hear all those weird stories, and if you're not in line with them, somehow you get deemed as crazy. You start to do weird things, and then you get unalived, and it's horrible. It's like a network. It is horrible. And it doesn't matter what your race, religion, national origin, it doesn't matter. You have people who are behind the scenes, who are the puppeteers. And also, I'm just looking even in the White House. I'm seeing that they're running out in the White House too. They are there. Wow. I'm just, I'm just seeing, who does that person have surrounded by him? Mm. And I'm also wondering about um, the 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 Elon. Has anybody really studied his background? I mean, his father came on a video and being interviewed. It's interesting when you listen to when people share, relatives share about their background. But what really is their background? Yes, he's from South Africa, but really, who is he? Who is the? I heard a name. I heard a name of his maternal line, and it's very, very interesting. That's what I'm saying. Very interesting. And that Elon seems to be, the love affair it seemed that Elon and Trump had. What's really going on behind the scene? Well, how is this going to affect him? You know, something is going on. It doesn't look right, people. It doesn't look right. Doesn't look right. And I wouldn't doubt it that whether he might be a potential dot connector in this whole drama that's happening. Wow. So my phone just went dark again. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are happening, people. Um, you're not going crazy. You're not. You're really not. You're just opening up. Your eyes are opening. Many of our eyes are being opened. Uh, it's a whole network out there. Yeah, there are groups within groups within groups, and they infiltrate communities. And you know what? They could be of any color too. They could be of any color. And people are being infiltrated. And they don't like to be exposed. But stand for what you believe in. Stay in your own lane. Um, and it's not your imagination when you start to see X, Y, and Z. What's happening to me? What's happening to you? Things are going on, and it's not your imagination. And yeah, is there connection? All these different industries, whether music, religion, what else? Music, religion, Hollywood, sports. They they seem to be controlled by a network that is real. You don't see them, and they could look any which way, but they're there, and they seem to have the same MO. They use the same card trick. It is horrible. Yeah, I hope one day that, like in the movie The Wizard of Oz, that the curtain be open and you'll see that there's a common player behind all this, destroying individuals, destroying communities, destroying countries and nations and all that. Nothing lasts forever, but what a glorious day it would be once that curtain is open and you see who that true enemy is. Yeah. So that's all that I got to share, and I can't think of anything else. But let me know about your thoughts. Are you noticing possible dot connectors? Are you seeing things? What do you see? Write them in the comment section below if you like. So, this is Spirit Journey signing off. Take care and enjoy your day. Bye bye.